TJ Jones, we here. The State of the Saints podcast, top notch, everything's top class. Know the play before they snap it. Going forward, never backward. Mr. TJ Jones getting it done.
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope everybody had a great day so far. I know there was some inclement weather around the South. I hope that you're staying dry. I hope everybody's staying safe. I know there was some tornado warnings in several places. So hopefully everybody is okay. Thank you for choosing the State of the Saints podcast for your listening and your viewing pleasure. Once again, hope everybody had a great weekend. Great weekend for me, man. Shouts out to my boys, man, the flag football team, the Cowboys, winning their first championship, man. My boys pulled it out, man. Last season, made it to the championship game, came up short, came in this season, and came out victorious, man. So my boys, they put together a great effort, man. Went undefeated the entire season and capped it off with a 32-7 victory over them Bears, man. But credit to the Bears, man. They're well coached and there's some good kids over there on the other side. Shouts out to my boy Packett, man. He getting his ring right there, man. Y'all see my boy out here, doing his thing. Who would have thought, man? All it took. Who would have thought that Paxton would have had a ring for the Cowboys before Dak Prescott? I'm just joking, man. But all jokes aside, look, congratulations to my boys, man. They worked real hard and, they really wanted it, man, and they finished the season strong. But also the cool thing about it is, as a coach, man, I coach the defense of my son's flag football team. I actually get a championship ring too, man. So I got mine on right here tonight. Got Paxton's right here, father-son duo championship. And, man, just looking forward to the springtime, man, where we can continue to try to build, the confidence of these young kids, man, just to see these young kids start off, running the opposite way. Paxton was one of them. To see them just actually going up the field, making catches and just feeling proud about the effort, man, it means a lot, man, to me as a coach, and to see those kids grow. So shouts out to them, man. And shouts out to you, man, for being here. And we're going to be talking tonight about Cam Jordan. I'm going to talk about Cam Jordan tonight. Of course, I'm pretty sure a lot of you seen what transpired on the Teron Armstead podcast. If you have not, feel free to check it out. I may play a little bit of it. That's, it's not really my wheelhouse, so to speak, man. Sometimes, especially like when those videos first come out, man, I want T-Stead to get his numbers up, first before we start breaking that down. But we will be talking about that. We will be discussing, some of the things that were said, and we will be discussing the future of Cam Jordan. So shouts out to everybody in the chat right now. Shouts out to everybody at home that's not in the chat. Very simple if you're new to the channel. Very interactive podcast. All you have to do is put your comments in the chat. Hey, what's going on? It's TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and we're about to do what it do, baby. You probably have something to say about the black and gold that's burning hard in your soul. Take those fingers, give them the working. Put them comments in the chat.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is go ahead and put them things in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not so bad.
Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. All you got to do is talk to me. I talk back to you now.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is put them comments in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not so bad.
Talk to me. I guarantee you, I'm going to talk right back to you.
Nice.
Yes, ma'am. All you have to do is put the comments in the chat. And of course, for those that may roll up on the show late, didn't get here on time, or probably watching the pre-recorded version of this episode, Shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all the after show boys and after show girls out there. For those that want to check out the interview, it probably starts around the 35-minute mark on the T-Steads podcast. I put the link inside of the comments, so make sure that y'all check it out. But let's go ahead and get into it, talk a little bit about Cam Jordan. Then I'll go to the chat. Look, man, we know that Cam Jordan, as of right now, upon the making of this video, is a free agent. It's the first time in 15 seasons that Cam Jordan has been a free agent. He is a mainstay with the New Orleans Saints and has been since they drafted him in the first round back in 2011. And of course, I think this goes without saying, Cam Jordan is one of the greatest New Orleans Saint players of all time. Some people would say he's number two. I would have to say he's number two. I'm sorry to guys like Archie Manning and Willie Roaf and so many others, Ricky Jackson, but Cam Jordan is the number two greatest New Orleans Saint of all time, in my opinion. But this is tough business when we're talking about the National Football League. We discussed this here on the State of the Saints podcast, and this isn't my feelings or views about Cam Jordan. Anybody that has watched the State of the Saints know how I feel about Cam Jordan. And the reality is it's a business at the end of the day, and it's a young man's game. And teams are trying to find younger, explosive players to be able to contribute to the team and, you know, continue to be a part of the team for years to come, to be the new cornerstone players. And look, I know that Saints fans are used to the status quo. The Mario Davises, the Cam Jordans, the Alvin Kamaras of the world. And look, that's just the way that New Orleans Saints football is in New Orleans for Saints fans. It's not just, you know, oh, that's just the Saints. No, it's like you're a part of a family. When these players ingratiate themselves into the culture of New Orleans, they're forever embedded into the culture of New Orleans. That's one of the main reasons why if a Saint great comes into town, they haven't been in a city in years, they probably still get something for free, a free meal, you know, like anything, because of what they have done for the city. That's just how the city operates. But you have to understand it from a business perspective. And you also have to understand that this is something that Saints fans have been asking for. And I asked the question on the last episode, are we just talking about it, or are you trying to be about it? What I mean by that is, are you just saying, oh, the Saints need to get younger? Because it sounds like the right thing to say. But when they start to get younger, it's like, oh, man, they're getting younger. I can't believe they did it. And all of a sudden, it's a shock to your system. Maybe it's the fact that the Saints haven't moved like this, and I don't know how long. It's a shock to the system of the Who Dat Nation. The reality is, Cam Jordan is still a great player. That's why it's so hard to see Cam Jordan if he was to move on from the New Orleans Saints and sign with another team. It was so hard to see Demario Davis at a New York Jets press conference after the 8+ years that he put in as a top linebacker, not only in New Orleans, but in the entire league. You never miss players that don't do anything, right? If a player is on your favorite team, whether you're watching this and you're a Saints fan or a fan of any other team, if that player doesn't bring anything to the table, what do you like? You're like, man, well, good riddance. It's a hard decision when players can actually play. Cam Jordan, the last time Saints fans seen him on the field, he had 10.5 sacks, and he was one of the most busiest defensive ends on the entire team. And this guy was 36 years old doing this. So that's pretty doggone impressive. So, of course, you're going to continue to want some of that. But the question is, do you want to continue to go down that road if you are the New Orleans Saints organization? We've seen this before in 2017, 2018, when the New Orleans Saints just refused to get a succession plan in place for Drew Brees. They counted on Drew Brees year after year after year, despite the fact that even though Drew Brees was still making plays, he couldn't throw the ball down the field. They compensated for that, maybe putting in another quarterback that had a bigger arm. But the Saints, out of respect for Drew, never really looked at the quarterback position as a position of need. Then all of a sudden, when Drew Brees retired, now we, as Saints fans, as an organization, you're basically looking for Drew Brees, and you have been for nearly 5 seasons. Now, as of right now, people feel like Tyler Shuck is the guy. He's going into his 2nd season, and only time will tell if Tyler Shuck ends up being that true successor to Drew Brees. But look how long it took. Look how many quarterbacks it took in order for you to find Tyler Shuck. So the New Orleans Saints don't want to do this again at other positions. You don't want to see Demario Davis leave, but it makes sense that you bring in a productive linebacker who hasn't missed any games on his former team. I'm talking Caden Ellis. It makes sense. You don't want it to make sense. You may miss Demario Davis because of the human being and the football player that he is, but at the end of the day, it was the right decision to make. If Caden Ellis goes out and makes plays and makes tackles and gets over 120 tackles in a season, doesn't miss a game, it will make things a little bit more understanding for Saints fans. It just feels bad right now because we're actually in the moment, right? But this too shall pass. I mean, so many different great Saints players have went to other teams, and Saints fans were like, man, why did they get rid of him? But you replace him with someone else that gives you just as much production or more production, and then the next day, you know, you're rooting for the guy from the outside, but you're happy that the Saints got their guy. Like, look at Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles left the New Orleans Saints via trade. Everybody was upset, especially when the first game of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles, Darren Sproles ran back a kick return for a touchdown. Saints fans were hot as fish grease. But when you start to see Alvin Kamara come along and doing some of the things that Darren Sproles was doing, not only doing what Darren Sproles was doing, but just wowing everybody on his way to Offensive Rookie of the Year. Yes, you missed Darren Sproles, but at the same time, would you have traded Darren Sproles for Alvin Kamara at that point? You probably wouldn't. So it's just tough right now because everything is becoming new. And this is what teams do often. This is the reason why a lot of these teams find success. They get these young players, rather it's through free agency, rather it's them hitting it out of the park in the draft, and they put these collection of players together in order to generate success. And this is what Kellen Moore is doing. And also another thing, people have to respect Kellen Moore because here's the thing. Kellen Moore came to the New Orleans Saints when nobody wanted the job. The Saints were trying to find candidates to come in to interview, and guys were like, thanks, but no thanks. The Saints got Kellen Moore, who was willing to come to New Orleans despite the cap situation, despite the questionable quarterback play or the questions at quarterback in general, the questions on the offensive line. All of these things were transpiring, and Kellen Moore still said, I'll give it a shot. So for him to absorb what the New Orleans Saints had in 2025 and still made it look pretty respectable with 9 credible draft picks and a couple of free agents and a couple guys that Brandon Staley knew and a couple guys that Kellen Moore knew that were cheap, I think Saints fans owe it to him to run the organization the way that he wants to put players in place that he feels matches his scheme and also that can continue to give you success where you ain't got to be looking for, oh man, he about to be 34, 35, 36 at the end of the season. Like, this is tough, man, because once again, Saints fans, they look at players like they're a part of their family. That's just the way it is. Like, you don't want to lose your family member, right? But in the name of business, it has to be done. So when it comes to Cam Jordan, am I saying that the Saints shouldn't sign back Cam Jordan? I'm not saying that at all. But if the New Orleans Saints want to go in a different direction, it's well within their rights to do so. But here's the catch-22. You have to understand that Cam Jordan is not washed. So if Cam Jordan was to go to I don't know, the Arizona Cardinals or the Kansas City Chiefs, he will be productive because Cam Jordan is still a really good football player. And he's probably going to make some plays where Saints fans are like, man, he could have made the plays for the Saints. But that's just the way that it goes. Such is life. When you're trying to turn the page, when you're trying to get younger, when you're relying on guys that are 25, 26, 27 years old, like Carl Granderson and Brian Brzee and Chase Young, that's just the way that it goes. The New Orleans Saints are turning the page in real time. They're not trying to live by the same old customs that got them in cap purgatory throughout the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They want to move forward and they want to be a contender. And I guarantee you, if the New Orleans Saints are checking all the boxes and doing all the things to make themselves competitive, winning double-digit football games again, being in a conversation of being a championship franchise, no Saints fan that is upset about a Demario Davis or a Cam Jordan are going to really, truly sit up here and say the Saints can't make it without him because the Saints are making it without him. Once again, love Cam Jordan, but I understand the decision of the New Orleans Saints. And if you look at that interview with Teron Armstead, I think Cam understands that as well. It's not personal. Everybody knows, I mean, Cam Jordan will get a statue eventually outside the Superdome, will be in the Ring of Honor when it's all said and done. But Cam Jordan wants to continue to play. The Saints want to get younger. What are they going to do? What are you going to do here? Cam Jordan deserves to finish out his career, and hopefully he goes to a team that's a contender and they can win right now, where he can actually solidify himself, because in my opinion, I don't think he needs to attend a Super Bowl or be a part of a Super Bowl to be a Hall of Famer. But we all know how this goes, right? We all know how the Hall of Fame committee do things. If Cam Jordan shows up in a Super Bowl, win or lose, the fact that he actually went to a Super Bowl with 130 plus sacks, it makes him more appealing for the Hall of Fame. And when we look at the new rules of the Hall of Fame and how there are only a handful of guys now to actually get in, I mean, making yourself more and more desirable by going out, maybe getting yourself another 10-sack season, moving up to 140, and also making a deep run into the postseason, preferably a Super Bowl. I mean, I want to see Cam Jordan get his flowers, because it never seems like Cam Jordan gets the respect that he deserves as a defensive end. It's always like Cam Jordan is like second tier. But when you look at some of the greats that actually were part of his draft class, guys like J.J. Watt, guys like Von Miller, he's up there with them statistically. But for some apparent reason, those guys always get the attention, and Cam Jordan is always second tier, which I don't understand, because he is a top tier defensive end, and wherever team he joins, even if he comes back to the Saints, they got themselves a leader and a guy that's going to give his all to the entire team. So whoever signs Cam Jordan is going to have a really good football player. But I kind of broke it down, and if you look at the thumbnail, I looked at like 3 teams. He said 3 teams are, interested in him, and he's been to a few interviews and talked to a few guys and stuff like that. They're trying to woo him, which he deserves, man. I mean, you've been with a team for 15 years. I'm pretty sure he's enjoying this process because he's never been a part of it. But if I can break it down to 3 teams, I'm thinking the Saints are number 1, the Arizona Cardinals are number 2, and the Chiefs are number 3. And why I think that the Arizona Cardinals are number 2, because I look at their cap situation. I look at the fact that they're trying to turn the page. They got a new head coach. Kyler Murray is no longer the quarterback. You got Buda Baker, who's still on the team, who is the captain. But if you was to add someone else like Cam Jordan into the locker room, that's a leader that can actually, lead by example and get these young guys in place. And then on top of that, I mean, he was being interviewed from Arizona in a home that he just built. So, I mean, I'm just kind of putting 2 and 2 together. I mean, I know it's a long off season. Maybe I'm putting way too much into it, but you out there in Arizona, man. I mean, Arizona got that bread, and like I said, they are going through a new, a new coach, they're gonna have a new quarterback. So maybe they'll add Cam Jordan for some leadership and a guy that can actually get these young guys, going. By teaching them and molding them and being a mentor to them. So those are my 3 teams. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments here. Once again, thank you all so much for being here. Let's see. Let's start right here. It says, I say we need to bring him back for real. He's the oldest, but this line needs as much help as possible. Yeah, but here's the thing. He will add to the defensive line, but riddle me this. If the New Orleans Saints was to draft Reuben Bain Jr., if the Saints were to get, another top pass rusher in the draft, then what? I mean, we got to be realistic about this. Why are we saying that Cam needs to come back? Why are we saying this? Is it because of sentimental value? Is it the fact that, okay, he had 10.5 sacks, he can replicate that next year? I understand where the Saints are coming from. You should understand where the Saints are coming from, because we all know, if I was to go back in the archives and we was to go over the chat, there have been countless people that have been in the chat that have been talking about the Saints need to get younger, the Saints need to move on, the Saints need to get away from the same old mainstays, the same old status quo. That is what has been the talk. Now, we can't talk about it and not be about it and not understand. We all look at Cam Jordan and respect him for what he did in the Saints uniform. This has nothing to do with what Cam Jordan can actually do. If Cam Jordan was to come to the New Orleans Saints in 2026, we all know that he'll still ball out. But if the Saints are looking at maybe drafting Reuben Bain, right? Or if they were actually, thinking about drafting Arvell Reese or something, like it's a top tier defensive end, edge rusher, a guy that you're looking at not only just to give you production for 1 more or 2 more years, but 4, 5, 6 years, maybe even give you that longevity like Cam Jordan. So how can you not understand it? I understand why the Saints are weighing their options. It makes sense. And I also understand why Cam Jordan is weighing his options. It's the same way Demario Davis. Like, come on, man. Let's keep a buck and a spade a spade. Demario Davis not winning no Super Bowl with no Jets. Honestly, I would be shocked if Aaron Glenn isn't fired before the season is all said and done. This is about making sure that you set yourself up for that final contract. You're not winning no Super Bowl with no Jets. Plain and simple. So Cam Jordan last season basically was on a prove-it deal. This man went out there and put 10.5 sacks. He bet on himself. So I can't hate on him if he like, man, I ain't doing that again. I showed y'all that if you commit to me, I will show you that I'm worth the investment. So if this man want to go out here and go to the highest bidder, I don't care if they're a Super Bowl contender or not. He deserves it. It's well within his rights. It's also well within the Saints' rights to say, well, we appreciate you, Cam, but we want to get younger on defense. So I'm not in the business of looking at a guy because of sentimental value. Like, I don't think anybody needs to run a business based on sentimental value. You can have love and admiration for a person, but at the end of the day, when you're in a business, you got to make tough business decisions. There's going to come a time, if you're an entrepreneur, you own anything, things might be smooth and sunshine and rainbows right now, but there's going to come a time when you're going to have to make a tough decision that's going to affect somebody. If you have people working under you, or you build something where people are working for you, you're going to have to make a tough decision eventually. Whether it's going to be budget cuts, or you're going to have to shorten your staff, something. That just happened, folks. And like I said, it has nothing to do with Cam Jordan. It had everything to do with business. Hit that like button and subscribe to the SOTS on your way in. Appreciate that, King Arthur. Says, but my main question is Derek Carr traded yet? Is Derek Carr traded yet? I don't think they had any inquiries on it, but I got to check here. I need to see if they did. Hell
no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no.
No, sir. No, sir. No inquiries. No inquiries for Derek Carr at all. Watching them Pelicans. Well, man, look, shouts out to them Pels, man. Shouts out to them Pels. I don't care what Stephen A. Smith say. People love the Pels. Nobody wants Carr. That pretty much sums it up here. That's because they hate the Saints. I wish Demario Davis the best. He was my favorite Saint. Still got my man of God head, man. I like Demario Davis too. I mean, the human being. I love the human being. Love the player. Watch him play on Sundays. But I also respect his decision, man. Look, I'm going to do what's best for my family. Just like anybody else that's watching this, you're going to do what's best for your family. And this man understands his football immortality. Like he's not immortal. He's eventually going to have to hang it up. And, you want to make sure that you put yourself in the best position when it's all said and done. And, I respect that decision, man. Take care of your family. Get that bread. Says, I'm waiting to hear breaking news that Derek Carr will get traded. I don't care what team is interested. I want him gone now. Well, look, man, I don't – whatever happens with Derek Carr doesn't really affect the Saints, in a grand scheme of things. Yeah, they'll probably get maybe a 4th or 5th round pick for him or something. But, I mean, I hate to say it, but who cares? Who cares, man? The Saints are turning the page, and people are moving on from that. Seems like people are happier with the quarterback position with Tyler Shuck and, having Spencer Rattler as the backup. Look, that's what needs to be focused on. Like Derek Carr trying to, get some attention and is backfiring on him. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Nobody want that. And probably if they do get it, it's probably going to be because they couldn't get the quarterback that they wanted in the draft, or probably couldn't get the guy that they wanted to sign. So I don't think that is over. Sometimes teams want to wait to see what the draft is going to be like. That's why you slowly start to see like guys who are free agents. They'll probably get signed after the draft because teams want to see if they can actually address some needs at certain positions before they actually have to spend a X amount of dollars to do it, right? I mean, getting a guy with promise on a rookie deal is better than, in most cases, getting a guy that's a veteran that you probably gonna have to pay a certain amount of money for his services. So the Jets are hot garbage. Yeah, man, they're not very good right now, but hopefully Demario Davis can solidify that. And look, man, the Jets know what's going on, man. And the Jets know what's up. They know what's up. And I hate to say it, man, but a part of me feels like Aaron Glenn got another opportunity as a head coach because they want to fail. And they want to fail because the quarterback situation is much better next season. Get opportunity to get Arch Manning. Get an opportunity to get guys like Dante Moore, Lenore Sellers. Get opportunity to get some of these quarterbacks that are going to be really, really good. And some people project this as one of those NFL drafts that, where you see Caleb Williams and Drake May and Jaden Daniels. So, they know what they're doing in the grand scheme of things. You're not going to tell me that. If the Jets were serious based on like some of the things that were coming out of New York and some of the practices there, and I ain't talking about just actual practice, I'm talking about things that were going on, probably wouldn't have no job. But to me, I just feel like they don't feel like Aaron Glenn can get this team over the hump. And in a way that they have in his fire sale, getting rid of guys like Quentin Williams, the Williams brothers, getting rid of Sauce Gardner. I mean, getting draft capital. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, come on, man. You got Geno Smith as your starting quarterback. You ain't winning nothing, man. You ain't winning nothing. No, with all due respect to Geno, I was glad to see him turn around and resurrect his career with the Seahawks. He had the comeback player of the year. It's good to see guys go out there, make plays, and change the narrative. But at this stage of Geno's career, he's not lifting the Jets. He's just not. The Jets are sabotaging their organization, in my opinion. They sabotaging it so they can be able to be in a really prime position to maybe draft somebody like Arch Manning or Dante Moore in 2027. Plain and simple. TJ, what are your thoughts on the Max Crosby situation? I think the Ravens are going to get booed at every away game. Look, I'm not mad at the Ravens for making the decision that they made. I mean, it's well within their rights. Ain't nobody signed anything. It was more like, okay, I guess like a behind backstage deal, and look, they took a physical, Matt Crosby took a physical, and they got cold feet. But, they end up signing like Trey Hendrickson. And look, you signed Trey Hendrickson, who is an unrestricted free agent, who had 17 and a half sacks in back-to-back seasons. Pretty much, look, I'm sorry, Trey, kind of phoned it in with Cincinnati. You can tell like he wasn't happy with the situation. So, probably could have played a little bit more than he did. Who knows? But you don't have to give up multi-first-round picks for Max Crosby, and you can get a guy who is given the same level of production as a Max Crosby, even more, and Trey Hendrickson, and you can keep all of your first-round picks. I don't think that's a bad idea. Look, I like the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are the franchise that a lot of these organizations aspire to be like. You don't see too many guys leaving the Ravens. You don't see too many guys like they draft that don't end up being productive. Rather it's round 1 or round 5. I mean, the Ravens are so good at drafting players. Y'all remember how the Saints got Will Lutz? Do y'all remember where Will Lutz started his career? Will Lutz was a rookie for the Baltimore Ravens, competing with Justin Tucker. And the New Orleans Saints were able to get Will Lutz from the Baltimore Ravens. As of right now, Will Lutz is still in the league kicking. And the Saints haven't found stability like they had in Will Lutz in, 3 years. So they have an embarrassment of riches. They know what they're doing. So I'm not going to knock them because they got cold feet about a player that has like a real bad knee issue that could possibly, cause them to lose money, him not play games. So I don't have an issue with them. I don't think anybody should. People are talking about, oh man, that ain't fair. Like, man, look, fair is for what? Games and prizes. We're talking about business. These teams want to win. So if I can keep my first round draft picks and get Trey Hendrickson cheaper than I had Max Crosby, and I know that Trey Hendrickson is capable of giving me double-digit sacks, where do I sign? I'm sorry, folks. Like, man, it ain't fair. Life ain't fair. This is a dog-eat-dog world, man. These teams are extremely competitive. They're extremely competitive. From the banter that you all hear, from the news stories that get leaked, all of this stuff is systematically positioned for some of these teams to get the competitive edge. Like they want these teams to call. Oh, heard a rumor that the Tennessee Titans were thinking about getting this player. Oh man, I thought he was going to be there at 9. Let me give him a call, try to move up. It's all about a competitive edge. Y'all looking for handshakes and, you know what I'm saying, and sunshines and rainbows, man. These teams are cutthroat. They want to win by any means necessary. You were missing the NFC South roundtable last week. Yeah, I know. I forgot about it. Well, I didn't forget about it. I didn't realize we were having a show. So, yeah, I apologize for that. But they did a good job, man. They did a good job. That's still bad business. I mean, look. Dolphins had did bad business, right, with Drew Brees. But look what happened. Drew Brees was supposed to go to the Dolphins. If Drew Brees went to the Dolphins, we having a different conversation. So I'm not going to sit up here and talk about, a team did bad business, because a bad business deal is the reason why New Orleans Saints got the greatest Saint player of all time in Drew Brees. There would be no Drew Brees if it wasn't for bad business. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and act like, oh man, like the Saints ain't benefit off some bad business, because they did. Drew Brees was supposed to go to the Miami Dolphins. A doctor failed him on a physical, saying, oh, his arm is not going to be the same. I give him 2-3 years tops, and the Saints signed him, and the rest is history. So we talk about bad business all day and night, but that bad business gave you 500 touchdowns. Shoot, second all-time in passing yards, top in completion percentage. That's what bad business got New Orleans Saints fans. So guess what? I guarantee you ain't got no problem with the bad business. It may be, but I guarantee you, It didn't stop Trey Hendrickson from signing with the Baltimore Ravens. And look what we're talking about here. Look, with all due respect, we're talking about the Raiders here. The Raiders. I mean, the epitome of bad business. This is a team that drafted a kicker in the first round. This was a team that drafted Darius Hayward-Bay, who was a second team, all mentioned, over a guy like Crabtree, and it was a couple more wide receivers they could have chose from. This is a team that we're talking about here historically have been about bad business. I mean, coaches like a revolving door. So I don't think people are going to look at, oh, man, they did the Raiders wrong. Like, I don't know about that, man. Maybe if it was someone else, maybe if it was another team, they'll probably be, man, that sucks. But we talking about the Raiders here. I mean, the Raiders continue to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Rather it's a coaching interview or a player. So I'm sorry, man, but we can talk about bad business, but at the end of the day, I guarantee you, I'm telling you, these organizations do not care. And it is not going to stop players from going to the Baltimore Ravens. If you think that, then I got some oceanfront property that I want to sell you. Let's see. Hey, TJ, Cam is on live the set with Armstead. He has 3 teams. Yeah, I saw that. And that's what we were talking about a little bit. I don't want to play the video, man, because like I said, T-Stead just put that video out. Maybe we can break it down later on in a week, but I want to make sure, man, that T-Stead is getting his numbers, man. We can talk about it. We pretty much know what was said. A lot of you already checked out the video. I put the link inside of the comments. So if y'all want to check it out, please do. Yeah, bad business comes with unsung heroes. Anybody see Shuck and Breeze with the bananas? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, the Savannah bananas. Man, it's so crazy. They do raffles for tickets. Like, you have to sign up and stuff like that, and they do like random drawings. So if you get selected, then of course you can pay and all that kind of stuff. We actually signed up for that. We didn't get an opportunity to, be a part of it, but it looked pretty cool, man. To see the Superdome that packed and see Tyler Shuck out there and Drew Brees out there, man, grounding out, on a fastball. So at the end of the day, that's good stuff, man. I mean, Tyler Shuck got cheered and revered, like, I mean, that place went crazy, and so did the place going crazy for Drew Brees as well. It went crazy as well. But look, man, I thought that was a great moment, and honestly, Drew Brees has been back to the Superdome on countless occasions. They have celebrated Drew Brees, and for some apparent reason, Drew Brees night, Drew Brees day, Drew Brees retirement, whatever, always seen the Saints just get beat to sleep by the opposition. I don't know if they just look at it like, man, Drew gonna be here today, man, let's put 40 on him. Let's give them something they can really remember. But to see Drew Brees actually go out there and, in a packed, sold-out season Superdome, even though it's not a Saints game, to get the love that he deserves, after being inducted, announced, being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mean, I just think that is great. I mean, it couldn't happen to a better person. And Tyler Shuck, it seems like, he's wearing, that he's wearing the leader of the Saints, well. He's wearing it well. So, it seems like, he's comfortable. Seems like he understands the city. The city is understanding him. He understands the assignment. You love New Orleans, they're going to love you back. And every time I see anybody like saying anything about the Saints or anything, he ready to stand up for them. So that's going to work in the long run. Hear me out, TJ and chat. Derek Carr to Houston. Do it sound like it should be an option that can follow his brother footsteps as well? Look, good story. I see what you're setting up there, Spielberg, but that ain't happening. First off, CJ Stroud, he's the starting quarterback of the Houston Texans, despite how people said that he looked. He didn't look great last season. I don't know what the heck going on. Hopefully he can get himself straight. I mean, since since I seen him pop up out the car with Amber Rose. I mean, his football play ain't been the same. I don't know what's going on, but he needs to get his ish together. That's point number one. Point number two, Derek Carr's ego is way too big to sit behind anybody. If Derek Carr is going to come back to the NFL, it is going to have to be in a starting role. Rather it be Arizona giving him a call, Jets giving him a call, Dolphins, even though they just signed Malik Willis, that's probably not going to happen. But a team that needs a starting quarterback, that's the only way that Derek Carr is going to come back. Because despite what people may think about Derek Carr, he sees himself as a starting quarterback. And it's well within his rights to feel that way. It is well within his rights to feel I'm not going to move or no motion will take place unless I get opportunity to be a starting quarterback. As you can see, the phone hasn't rang. So that tells you everything that you need to know. More than likely, teams are going to see if they can weigh out their options via the draft or maybe some other free agent that can come in before they call the Saints. I mean, if that ain't telling, I don't know what is. I've seen Justin Fields as well. Did he get traded to the Chiefs? You know, I've seen, guys who, were like starters going, landing with other teams. Nobody is picking up the phone. So it's rather they're going to wait to after the draft or they're going to see where they are, like I said, after the draft, see if they actually get a quarterback, probably get a couple OTAs, a little practice in to see what type of shape their quarterback room is in. And maybe if they are questioning the quarterback room, they'll probably get a Saints a call. But Derek Carr is not going to come out of retirement unless he's a starting quarterback. He's not going to sit behind anybody. Ego too big. I would love to see Carr go to the Texans. Hopefully CJ don't turn into Vince Young. Yeah, I hope not, man. I hope not. Now I know why. I would say Carr to the Vikings, but they signed Kyler. It's Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray going to be the starter. J.J. McCarthy on borrowed time. Honestly, you know how bad you got to be a first-round draft pick for a team to go out and get a free agent to start over you. Like, they must haven't seen nothing out of dude. Teams don't do that. Like, if J.J. McCarthy, he ended up like missing his first season, right? The rookie season. He ended up having that meniscus surgery. And, a second season, it was like, okay, man, we're going to bring him back. And we all know how it turned out. For them to go into season 3 looking at Kyler Murray, that tells you everything that you need to know right there. Like J.J. McCarthy, they done with him. Like J.J. is going to have to go out there, play out his mind in order for him to beat out Kyler Murray and to be the starting quarterback. But a team giving up on you in 3 seasons when they drafted you in the first round, that's telling. That's telling, man. That's like, man, we ain't got nothing here. We ain't got nothing. We ain't got no time for this. Chuck been doing a good job with Nola and his people. Yeah, he's doing the right things. And he's genuine about it. It's not like he just politicking, handshaking, and baby kissing. And, and he's just basically being disingenuous. TJ, this may be a good year for the Saints to trade back in the draft and get more picks. I agree. And I said that on a couple shows that the New Orleans Saints could trade back, because you address positions of need. So if you were to move back, let's just say, and people talk about, oh, man, the left guard or the guard position. Yeah, man, people ain't drafting that top 10. Well, if you move back a couple spots, then it would be more understanding that you draft a left guard, or a guy that could play right guard in a draft. Like, it would make more sense. Like, but look, the Saints have pretty much left themselves open to endless possibilities. You no longer have to go into the draft feeling like you have to reach or you have to draft a certain position. You can get the best player available. So if they decide to trade back, if a team gives them an offer that they can't refuse, you're in a really good position to take it. I got a feeling we will contend for a playoff berth this season. Well, if they can stay healthy and, you get yourself some players and some decent depth. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that happening. She sucks, CJ football powers. Man. Well, I'll tell you this, man. You gotta stay focused. You gotta stay focused. I get it. You're the toast of the town. Everybody singing your praises. Inbox probably going crazy. Beautiful women throwing themselves at you, all that kind of stuff. But you just gotta stay focused, man. Like you got to keep the main thing, right? You know, like go out on a date, you know what I'm saying, and enjoy your life, but at the same time, understand why you're getting the attention that you're getting. And it's not because you're just the true ladies man around this thing. It's the fact that you're the quarterback of a professional football team. And you should never lose sight of that. And a lot of players, in my opinion, they lose sight of that. You know, like what Marvin Hagler says, it's hard to get up in the morning and run when you laying on silk sheets, right? I mean, room at the right temperature. Yeah, 1,000 thread sheets, Posturepedic pillows, right? Like the energy, right? You open up your blinds and you looking at the hills, right? When back in the day when you used to look outside, you used to see the gutter or, you know, that little crease in between your house and your neighbors. And you go from that to this beautiful view. Like, you got to stay focused, man. And I don't think anything's wrong with CJ Stroud. Like, you don't just lose talent. Like, I just think that you just got to tap in. You got to dial in. And you got to keep the main thing the main thing. And when you don't keep the main thing, you play average. I don't think CJ Stroud is average. I don't think guys who start off their career and just look amazing just automatically just fall off the turnip truck. I think it has a lot to do with discipline. I think it has a lot to do with preparation. And stay your behind on social media with a bunch of people that can't throw a party for their kids, can't tackle a math problem, or can't kick it with their buddies at a club. Like, who cares at the end of the day what they think? Like, keep the main thing. And you'll be all right. I still believe in CJ Stroud. I'm not one of those people, oh, man, look how he looked this season. Oh, man, he trash. Let me be ahead of the curve and call him trash, and then everybody can join me. Like, nah, bruh. Narratives continue to change, and that's the problem with a lot of these people out here with these opinions. They talk as if these guys don't have any saving grace. Like, like these organizations aren't picking in the top 5 every single year. We just seen Sam Darnold win a Super Bowl. We seen Nick Foles win a Super Bowl. 2 guys that nobody just looked at, everybody looked at and said, man, these dudes ain't good enough to win nothing. So people can rewrite narratives despite what people may think. I think that this world is so quick to try to demean and bring people down so they can be right about a certain situation. And some of that white noise just becomes like so unbearable that you have no choice but to absorb it. And it goes into your psyche and it affects you psychologically, and it might actually affect the way that you play. That's why I say, man, turn that stuff off and focus on you and keep the main thing the main thing. TJ, my bad, bro. I didn't mean to be vulgar. I got you, man. I got you, bro. Says smooth transition, TJ. Got to stay focused. Yeah, man, got to stay focused. Look, man, I understand. If you're like 21, 22 years old, millions of dollars, right? $100 million. People, women throwing themselves at you, right? Like that, you know, people everywhere they go, like want to like be around you, want to take a picture with you, right? Getting the best seats in every place in town, right? Don't have to really pay for nothing because people just love the fact that you ate at their restaurant or been to their business. Like, I get all that, but at the same time, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. That is plain and simple. You got to keep the main thing the main thing. Because people will let you in because you're the toast of the town today. But you start throwing 3 and 4 interceptions, that'll be 41-15. You know what I'm saying? Like that's your total. Hey, man, I ain't never had to pay. I'm sorry, man. We have to get you to pay. CJ Stroud needs a good OC. Yeah, Bobby Slowick, it seemed like him and Bobby Slowick were on the same page. And of course, Bobby Slowick got fired CJ's second season, and this ain't been the same, man. So, yeah, he needs the right guy. I know you mentioned the wide receiver room not being bad, but why we always got to make do with great value guys? Why we can't have our Puka and Devontae Higgins and Jamar and AJ and Smith? I'm tired. Look, I mean, yeah, you can have that, but I mean, like I said, I don't think anything's wrong with these guys when it comes to the wide receiver room. Like, Chris Olave is capable of making plays, and so is Devon Bailey. Now, I don't think that the New Orleans Saints wide receiver room is going to stay that way. All I'm saying is, like, you don't have to have monsters on every side. Like, and honestly, I would have to ask the question, why do people want this? Like, is it because you feel like that gives you the best chance to win? Or is it the fact that everybody else is doing it? Well, let's go by a couple of names that you just mentioned here. So Puka and Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams had 14 touchdowns last season. That is true. Puka Nacua was a monster last season. That is true. But did they win the Super Bowl? No, they did not. All right, let's take a look at Jamar and T. Higgins. Very good. 1-2 tandem. Have they won the Super Bowl? Did the Bengals go to the playoffs? No, they did not. I mean, you could talk about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Yeah, they've been to the Super Bowl a couple times. But you look at George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. Are the Cowboys in the Super Bowl? You don't have to have, like I said, you don't have to have murderous row at wide receiver. You just need guys that are capable of knowing their role and doing their role well. I mentioned on Twitter, on X, or whatever you want to call it these days, the New Orleans Saints always had one premier wide receiver that got the majority of the targets and a bunch of role players. As I like to call them, a bunch of Kyle Korvers and Mike Millers. Guys that were just there for the three-point shot if need be. Okay, if D-Wade is slashing and they catch him at the rim, he can dish it out to Mike Miller. If D-Rose in his prime would just go out there slashing, he can kick that thing out to Kyle Korver. That is what the New Orleans Saints had. You had Colston, you had Meacham, you had Henderson, or any one of those guys. Henderson or Meacham, do they remind you of A.J. Brown? Do they remind you of a Devontae Smith? No, they do not. But the New Orleans Saints still were one of the most potent offenses in the entire league. What I like to, I just want people to understand, you don't need murderous row. Now, it would be great to have them. Now, I want to make this clear, Alfred. That's not a bad idea. But what I'm saying is to say that a team can't win because, you don't have two monsters at the X and a Y, I don't agree with that. If guys are making plays consistently and they're doing their job effectively, you're going to win some football games. So it's not so much about, the Saints don't need that. If you're asking me, in my opinion, do the Saints need this guy and that guy? No, they don't. Like, because I feel like just like any other organization, they draft these players, they sign these players, and maybe these players just don't work out within the organization. And I just think it's the worst thing that we can do as onlookers, as fans, that I just hear this all the time. When a guy gets released, that team just gave up on him. He must not be no good. What are you talking about, man? Once again, these teams have players that come to their team. They can't really utilize them. But for some apparent reason, it's always the player's fault. Everybody that gets traded isn't like yesterday's garbage. Everybody that gets released, that don't mean that they don't have anything to offer a football team. And I just don't like how people just operate, man. It's all like, I get it. Nobody want to feel like they got second rate. But dang, can we at least see what these dudes are capable of before we start talking about, man, this dude ain't good enough to play? I always give y'all the example about the big man at the blacktop. You start picking guys, right? I got him. Then all of a sudden, it gets down to the nut cutting time to get last one or two players. Oh man, I don't know, man. Dude kind of big. He might be slow. Then all of a sudden, you get this dude, and this man out here slashing, catching rebounds, dishing pass behind his back, look like magic with the Showtime Lakers. And you wouldn't even have this guy on your team if you ain't pick him last. because the other guy didn't want him. You got to give people opportunity to change the narrative before we start talking about guys. I don't see what anybody has saw in Trey Palmer to make you believe that this man ain't capable of making plays. Jalen Polk went to the New England Patriots when they sucked. Gerard Mayo was the coach. It was a reason why they was one and done, ladies and gentlemen. I think we all can agree with that. They fired Gerard Mayo. In comes Mike Vrabel, and then the Super Bowl. Is that a coincidence? I think not. I think not, ladies and gentlemen. So, yes, I am not going to give up on players because they just so happen to be traded to the Saints, signed by the Saints, get injured as players. Like, I'm not going to give up on guys to say that a guy is less than because something happened to them that happens all the time in the National Football League. Players get cut. Players get traded. It just comes with the territory. But everybody, oh man, he ain't about nothing, man. Man, we need this dude right here. We need Cornell Tate. Okay, Cornell Tate, very good wide receiver. But what have you seen in an NFL uniform that tells you that Cornell Tate will be the answer to the New Orleans Saints problems? What have you seen? What have you seen? Oh man, because he did this at Ohio State. Well, he didn't do it on a professional level. So just like you are uncertain about Trey Palmer or Jalen Polk, you should have that same uncertainty with Cornell Tate because he has to come to the National Football League and prove, just like Trey Palmer, just like Jalen Polk, that they are capable of playing a wide receiver position at a high level. It all comes down to everybody wants the new shiny toy, plain and simple. If Trey Palmer was coming out of Nebraska by way of LSU, if Jalen Polk was coming out of college, out of University of Washington, nobody would be saying anything at all. Because how do I know this? Because the same people are out here talking about Jordan Tyson, who has had a history of injuries. But if you was to ask a wide majority of Saints fans, who should the Saints draft at 8? Let's get Jordan Tyson. Unproven, been hurt, but yet let's sign him. Let's draft him, right? He needs to be with the Saints. The math ain't matting, ladies and gentlemen. People want the new shiny toy. Nobody wants the used car with 100,000 miles on it, right? Even though that car may run or have a new transmission, have a new engine off in that thing, and where you can ride on that thing for years and years to come. But nobody wants that. Everybody wants to step into that car. 5 miles. And the only reason it got 5 miles on it because it was test ridden. Fresh off the showroom floor, had the new car smell and everything. I mean, I get it. But I'm not just going to wash my hands with a player, because they got hurt. Oh, they got traded. Oh, man, he was on IR last year. Man, I don't think he's going to be good enough to play. Okay. I'm in a business of giving guys opportunity. Give guys opportunity to be able to go out there and prove it to themselves. And if they can't, then it is what it is. It is what it is. That is why I don't think Saints should draft a wide receiver in the first round. Want to give Polk and Vele deserve more reps. Lemon for me. This wide receiver class is fishy. Let's see. I want Jermaine Bernard for the Saints. I mean, look, it's going to be a lot of talented wide receivers. A lot of general consensus when it comes to this wide receiver class. They say a lot of top shelf number 2 receivers. All right. I'm not even going to waste my time with one of these comments up here. Like, I see you fishing, bro, but I'm not taking the bait. Let's see. Miller and ETN or HN can be our next boom and zoom. I'm praying Miller can stay healthy, and the man was looking good before he got hurt. Kellen is going to run that rock. Yeah, man, look, good combination. Travis Etienne, Miller, and also Devin Neal, man. I think that's a good combination right there. And you got Etienne who doesn't have to leave the field. He's a guy that can be an every down, all-purpose back for you. And I like what Kendrick can do when he's healthy, but he has to stay healthy. Right? He has to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, then everybody knows he's pretty good. I know some people like, oh man, they need to get rid of him. I don't think so. Facts, CJ, is more like the draft more of a wide receiver with the fastest 40 time, haven't done anything in the league. You don't need a 4-2 wide receiver to win. Man, look, if you got the right nucleus of players, you don't need 1,500 yards on one side, 1,700 on the other. You just don't. And look, I get it. It's all about stability. I don't want to like shoot anybody down. Please don't make I'm like when I'm talking, I'm giving my personal opinion and assessment of a situation. You don't have to agree, and you can still take your stance. And if it seems that way, I do apologize. But what I'm saying is, I've seen teams have like one premier receiver and have a guy that was just really, really good, did their job, and teams still found success. They still found success. Now, I could even give you an example. Let's take a look at the Seattle Seahawks. Now, some people would say, oh, they got Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then they had Cooper Kupp on the other side. This is where we fall for the banana in the tailpipe. We fall for names. When a person's name comes up, we think about what they did. We don't think about who they are at that particular time. Give you an example. In 2017, the New Orleans Saints signed Adrian Peterson to the team. Who wasn't excited about that? Who wasn't excited that the Saints signed Adrian Peterson in 2017? It was the fact of Adrian Peterson, right? The name. You think about all of those big runs that he had in Minnesota, dropping the shoulder, running guys over. That is what you thought about. But you didn't think about the Adrian Peterson who was 30, who basically couldn't do what he was doing in Minnesota that made him special. Or Champ Bailey, when the Saints signed him a couple of years before that. You just looked at the fact that it's Champ freaking Bailey, a Hall of Fame defensive back. So when you looked at Seattle, when you say, oh, man, they got Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp, look at Cooper Kupp's numbers. Cooper Kupp wasn't the Cooper Kupp he was with the Rams when he was looking like Puka Nacua is now. So that's what people do. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Jackson Smith and Jigba carried that team. Alongside Kenny Walker and Zach Charbonnet, they carried the team. You don't need, like I said, you don't need Megatron on one side, Randy Moss on the other. It would be nice to have Megatron on one side, Randy Moss on the other, but that don't mean that, it's just a recipe for success and winning consistently. TJ, I like a flashy pick like the next fan, but I wouldn't be upset at all if that number 8 pick is solidified, the offensive line or defensive line. I think everybody likes a flashy pick. Look, everybody wants to brag and boast and gloat to the opposition. Look what we got, right? Oh, man, I'm a Saints fan. Look what we got, man. We drafted such and such. Oh, I'm an Eagles fan. We drafted such and such. What y'all going to do, Cowboy? What y'all going to do, Commanders? Oh, Falcons, what y'all got? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's the fact of having bragging rights, to be able to say, my team did that. But at the end of the day, everything got to be about sex appeal, man. Like getting a guard in the first round. Like, it may not be the sexiest pick in the world, right? Ain't about to turn no heads, but at the end of the day, if you see Travis Etienne breaking off a 60-yard run for a touchdown, I guarantee you that you're going to feel good about that because that offensive line is solidified. Like, nobody wants to pay their bills, but it's good to turn them lights on when you get home, right? When you say click and your whole room illuminates, like, sure, it ain't sexy to pay your bills. I ain't never seen nobody skipping to energy. I ain't never seen nobody skipping the Cox cable. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen nobody skipping the Spectrum. Like, oh, yeah, man, I'm ready to pay my bills today. No. Like, shoot, man, I got to pay these bills. I got to pay this mortgage. I got to pay this rent. Nobody sits up there and be excited about it. But when you turn that key and come up in that house, you turn them lights on, it illuminates your room. You go upstairs, turn that water on, take that shower. Man, it may not sound sexy, but when those things are paying dividends for you, it's beneficial and you're enjoying that. So who cares at the end of the day if it's not the sexiest pick? Is it making your team better at the end of the day? Is it? So if they was to get a guard in the first round, like they were to get Vega, the guard out of Penn State, you'd have made your offensive line better, because more than likely it's probably you're bidding adieu to Cesar Ruiz. The first time in a long time, the Saints have a chance to get the best on the board. Now you're scared to get them. Make it make sense. You don't have Drew Brees anymore. It's time to step up. And that's the problem right there. Who's to say that they haven't stepped up? Who's to say that they haven't made plays? Who's to say that they haven't done those things? You talking about having the best player available, but what are you doing it for? If you have opportunity to trade, so if you have opportunity to trade back to get more draft capital, and a team that drafts a player, you already got that guy in a position of need. So you get another position of need. And then on top of that, let's just say you get another second round pick where you can address another position of need. So you're telling me, oh, because you're picking at number 8, oh, let me just get the flashy thing. I mean, yeah, if it's available and you feel like, okay, that's great, and we need this guy, fine. But once again, the Saints have opened themselves up to endless possibilities. Endless possibilities. Why would you just want one route? Right? If it's a traffic jam and there's only one route, wouldn't it be great if I know that I can turn this corner right here and take a shortcut and I can end up being where I need to be? I can take this scenic route right here. I can still get to my destination. Like, ain't nothing wrong with it. The Saints aren't one player away from changing a franchise. Look, maybe you believe that, but I don't. What the New Orleans Saints are trying to build is stability to help them get over that hump. Do I feel like some of the pieces that they brought to this team will help them be a contender in the South? Yes. But what is that actually saying? What are we actually saying here? The NFC South is the worst division in football. That's like saying, man, I got a better team and I'm beating up on 6-year-old kids or something, right? In basketball or football. Like, what are we talking about? You don't want to, like, you want to win your division, yes, but you also want to go deeper in the playoffs. So if that means stacking your team with more draft picks, guys that you don't have to pay for another 4 to 5 years, while you can make your cap situation even better and accompany those young players with maybe a position that you need with a veteran that can come in, that can provide leadership, that can provide instant results, while the young guy is still developing into what you need him to be. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just not in the business of, oh, the Saints got this guy. Like, who cares? Like, I hate to say it, but who cares? I don't care about names. I care about game. That is what's going to keep you on a team, not your name. There's been some great players that have played on a collegiate level that had gotten drafted by teams and couldn't play dead in the Western movie. Plain and simple. So it's not about that at the end of the day. Like, we still sitting up here scared because we ain't got Drew Brees no more. Well, Drew Brees ain't walking through that door. Drew Brees is walking through a door, but it's the Canton halls. So if you're trying to replicate what Drew Brees did, like that ship has sailed. And that's the problem. Like, we still looking for Drew Brees. You're not going to replicate what Drew Brees did. You're not. You're not going to replicate what Sean Payton and Drew Brees did. That was lightning in a bottle. That was magic. That was magic. What you need to do is to solidify your own legacy if you're Kellen Moore or Tyler Shuck. And it may not look like what Drew Brees and Sean Payton did. It may not look that way. But that's what every Saints fan seems to be searching for. They seem to be searching for the days of yesteryear. Those days are gone, ladies and gentlemen. You got a new head coach, you got a new quarterback, you got a new DC, and you got some new players, new cast of characters here. It's like the spinoff. It's like a spinoff show. Same show, different characters. So no, at the end of the day, I'm not sitting up here caring about what the Saints get so I can talk on the NFC South roundtable. Oh, you seen what the Saints got? Man, look, can you get better than you were last season? TJ, how you feel about AK being on the team this year? To be honest, I feel it depends on if they draft a running back in the first 3 rounds. Well, look, Mike Washington is out there, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't know who Mike Washington is, Look him up. But at the end of the day, I don't know, man. I mean, Kellen Moore left it open, and it kind of was like the same type of talk I heard when he was talking about Derek Carr. I don't know if Alvin Kamara is going to play again or not. Alvin Kamara just doesn't strike me as a guy that really cares about personal accolades. Yeah, I always say this. I feel like Alvin Kamara is one of those guys that he's like, football is what I do, is not who I am. Like once I take the helmet and shoulder pads off, I'm Alvin Kamara, right? Entrepreneur, father, like fashion mogul, all this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just who he is. So, I mean, you think about like some of the opportunities. Like he had 950 yards, could have went over 1,000 for the first time in his career. He was like, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather be healthy than worry about 50 yards. Like he don't care. So I don't think it comes down to like Travis Etienne joining the team. Like I feel that Alvin would still be on the team, wouldn't care less. Like what y'all need me to do? He just not wired like that. Like he's competitive to a point where when I'm out there, I'm trying to help my team win, but not to a point where I just feel like he would like hold the Saints up or like really like, okay, I'm gonna retire just to show them. Like if he retiring because he wants to. And, like he's one of those guys that's an entrepreneur, got several businesses. He probably just feel content. Like, man, I had a really good career. I got a couple paychecks. I got a couple contracts. I'm an icon in the city where I play football. Nothing else for me to prove. Like I did my job. So if Alvin retires, it's because Alvin want to retire. And it has nothing to do with Travis Etienne joining the team. Like Travis Etienne joining the team the way that Alvin is wired, he'll be excited at the fact that he ain't got to just carry the load of the team anymore. Like what y'all need me to do? Like just look at his personality, man. Like Alvin is not like those, like, I mean, I'm gonna just play football for the rest of my life type guys. Now he tells you all the time, I don't be on social media like that. People be telling me what's going on. They be showing me videos. Like he don't like. It's like sometimes you see people be like, I don't know, man. He probably like embellishing things. I really feel like this dude don't watch football, care about football until you actually have to be in that element. So if he retires, it's because he wants to retire, and if he comes back, it's because he wants to come back. There's no. I don't think it's going to be no envy. If the Saints come to him and be like, okay, Travis is going to be our feature back, Alvin going to be like, all right, just let me get in where I fit in. And he'll be on the sidelines telling Travis, hey, man, like if you would have cut, cut to the left or whatever like that, they had an open gap. That's just the way that Alvin is, a true team guy. So if he retires because he thought about it, like, you know what? And I don't want to go play anywhere else. They seem like they want to roll with Travis. Okay, let me go ahead and retire. But Alvin going to retire on his own accord. It's not going to be because the Saints signed a player. Agreed, TJ. I said, too, it will be the best to trade 8 pick for more draft picks. I'm with you on that all the way. And like I said, it's not the fact that if they select a player at 8, I'm like, man, they should have traded back. Like, what I'm saying is if they were to trade back in the draft, it wouldn't be the worst decision in the world. Because anything that you actually think that the Saints need, they can address that. Like, if you're talking about a wide receiver, like, let's just say they don't draft Mekhi Lemon with the 8 pick. I mean, well, there's several other wide receivers that they can draft that's going to give you production. Maybe in the second round, or maybe if you decide to get a wide receiver with the first round pick that you traded back with a team for. So, there are players there, man. It's not like there's just that one player. Like, oh man, the Saints gotta have this player. Like, man, I done seen this up close. I done seen it up close, folks. I done seen it up close. What y'all thinking when it comes to a few of these players? They got some work to do. Folks. TJ, why Saints fans want Kamara traded? I wish they stopped. Look, I don't know if they want him traded or not. I just think that it just comes down to like recent history or what history shows us. When a team drafts a can't miss prospect at a certain position. It pretty much tells us that, well, maybe they've decided they're going to move on from that mainstay player. It's almost like, y'all remember when the Saints drafted Mark Ingram? What did Reggie Bush say? It's been real, New Orleans, right? Because he was like, well, y'all drafted Mark Ingram. Y'all ain't drafted him to be no backup. Y'all drafted him to be the starting running back of the team. So that's just the way that it goes. Like, so when people start talking about him being traded, is basically that's what history has shown around the National Football League when it comes to organizations. It's very rare that you have a premier featured back that has been on a team for several years, and then all of a sudden they end up drafting another player that is really good, top 5, and that player end up still being a starter. So that's the reason why people are saying, well, what about, why they talking about trading? That's the reason why, because history has shown us when you get yourself a player via free agency or through the draft that is projected to be an instant starter right away, that's just the way that it goes. He's not going to win a ring here. He was good too. Y'all be good to him and send him to a team where he can win. Well, look, I don't think the Saints just going to, just trade him to just anybody. I don't think they're going to do that, but we'll see, man. We'll see what's going on. He's not Jerry. It's just like TJ said. TJ 100% right. Yeah, I mean, look, he gonna do what's best for himself. What happens if you trade back and none of them work out? Waste the number 8 pick. Well, riddle me this. What if you draft a pair at 8 and they don't work out? All right. I mean, look, why not take a chance at picking the best on the board? We need to make some noise. I'm tired of watching mediocre football. Look, I get what you're saying, but what you're coming from is from a place that you feel like, man, I just want to keep it 100 with you, bro. I know what the draft tells you, that, okay, if you're picking in the top 10, you got a better chance at drafting a can't miss prospect. But that's not always the case. That's not always the case. You have teams out here that draft guys top 5, top 10. And once again, those guys don't pan out. Just because you draft a player at 8 don't mean that he's going to be a legendary player for your franchise. So what I'm saying is, it's not. So what I'm saying is, if the Saints were to not pick at 8, if they were to pick at 11, you're saying that they couldn't find a player 3 spots like further back than what they had at 8. Like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't think it's the worst case scenario, because there are some really talented players at different positions that aren't being acknowledged, because you have so many guys that came out of Ohio State, got Fernando Mendoza out there. Team needs some offensive line help at tackle. So those guys aren't getting addressed. But look, man, we see Nick Emenwari. What, he got drafted in the 2nd round to the Seattle Seahawks? This man was the absolute truth. Like, he trouble aside, the Falcons drafted James Pierce late in the 1st round. This man had double-digit sacks his first season. So to say that, if they pick at number 8, they can't find, like, that means they're getting the best player, or if they trade back, they won't be able to get that chance. I don't agree with that. I understand what you're saying. Like, you give yourself a better chance to get the best player that is available. But just because the player is the best available, but from a collegiate scouting perspective, that doesn't mean that they're going to always end up being the best player in the 1st round. So if you play your cards right and trust your board, which the Saints did last season and it worked out for them, like, who's to say that they can't do that again? But I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to take what you're saying, like, and saying, oh man, that, like, don't, like, that's wrong. Because I mean, look, it's all subjective at the end of the day, but I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. I don't think it's the worst idea for them to pick at 8. Like, if they pick at 8, they find somebody, like, shoot, if Sonny Styles there at 8, trust and believe, like, you need to draft this dude. But I'm just saying, like, if the board, let's just say, for example, Bain, Reese, you know, your boy out of Texas Tech, couple of those offensive linemen, like, you know, from Miami and Utah go, like, okay. And Sonny Styles going, like, who you going to pick then? Okay, if those guys are going off the board in that order, Jeremiah Love going. If you're not, like, in love with a player like that, then why would you sit up there and just pick somebody? Oh, he's just the best player available. Well, you may be able to, like I said, not only just get one particular player, but 2 players that can come in and give you instant success. So you should always leave your options open. You can't just throw it away and be like, man, you know what? This is what I want. This is what we're going to do. We got the 8 pick, 7 players off the board. Like, man, you got to weigh your options, man. If anybody should know how much we love him, it's Cam. Hearing those comments cut kind of deep when I first heard them. Yeah, just talking about, just talking about him not being with the Saints. But yeah, man, I mean, from an emotional perspective, yeah. And yeah, it hurts. As a Saints fan, it hurts. But from a business perspective, you can't get mad at the Saints for this. You just can't. All that matters is getting the right player that fits your system. Yep. Deion Jordan was a big miss. First round, 3rd pick. I mean, we can go down a list. We can go down a list, but I don't want to sit up here and make it seem like, like he didn't have a point. I mean, it's what, like, he wants from what I get from the comment from Saint, he wants the best player available. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with trying to get the best player available. But if there was a trade back, I don't feel like that's the worst decision either. What y'all think about the Saints being on Hard Knocks? I mean, it would be great to see. Most teams don't want to be on Hard Knocks, but if they were to be on Hard Knocks, well, of course we'll watch. I mean, who wouldn't? No Hard Knocks. Yeah. It might be P. Warner last season as the Saints if they draft Styles. It might be P. Warner last moments with the Saints if they draft Styles. Saints might end up thinking about trying to trade him or shop him or something. Not mad at the team at all. I'm actually on their side. Cam is New Orleans just like Drew, but this is a bandage that the team finally is ripping off. Yeah, I mean, look, nobody wants to do it, man, but you have to do what you have to do in the name of business. And who's to say that he won't come back? This is a good point right here by Hello. It says Mike Evans went to the 49ers, people. I think I'm mad. No, I'm not. I had 12 good years with him. Got a Super Bowl. Now he's moving on. He'll just play his years there, come back, and retire a buck. Yeah, pretty much, Hello. I mean, that's a good point. Like, you love these players because of what they have given to the organization that you love. You have their jerseys. Some of you have their autographs. Some of you have pictures with them. And I get all that, right? Those things are, have sentimental value. But at the end of the day, it's a business, man. It's a business. I know it when you put it in that terminology, it sounds like it's cutthroat, but man, you have to make tough decisions sometime when you're running a business. I keep on going back to that because that's just the truth. I'm gonna take a few more and then we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. It says TJ, will the Saints be on Hard Knocks on HBO? Q Bishop Bowinkle. I mean, I can't cue the Bishop, Jerry, because I don't know. I mean, they fall into that category. And then on top of that, it's about ratings, it's about appeal, it's about narrative. Now think about this. Who was the hottest quarterback in the NFL going like towards the end of the season? It was Tyler Shuck. Who was the team that people were talking about the most? It was the Saints. The fact that Tyler Shuck is the quarterback of the Saints and he has that type of appeal makes the Saints the front runner for Hard Knocks. And it's not something that the Saints can be like, no, we don't want to do it. No, you fall into that category. So the NFL can select you and say, you're going to be on Hard Knocks this year, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, if you're a team in the playoffs and they say, okay, we want you to be in there, nah, no thanks. No thanks. But the Saints, at this point, they don't have a choice. So I can't cue the Bishop. I can't cue the Bishop for that one, Jerry. It might be the Saints. It might be him. And if it is the Saints on Hard Knock, if they do get selected, I mean, like nobody ain't watch. Like y'all know y'all gonna watch. Come on, man. Come on, Saints fans. Y'all know about players leaving, going, win, and come back. TJ, my prediction is if the Saints draft half as well as last season and Tyler is injury free, we're going to win 2 playoff games. Well, man, look, to your from your mouth to God's ears, my friend. I'm pretty sure many Saints fans wish that you're right for that. Mike Evans, for example. Yeah, man, Mike Evans, look, he was a long-time mainstay. And look, I don't think him playing for the 49ers is going to stop Bucs fans from supporting him and showing love to him. I'm pretty sure if they play the Bucs in Tampa, they'll do a whole reel for him, a little video presentation. Like he's that type of guy for him. But anyway, man, we're going to end it with Charles here. Charles says, I would definitely watch Hard Knocks if the Saints are on the show. Yeah, I would watch it too. You know, definitely give us something to talk about during the offseason, man, when things aren't really going on. I mean, we got the draft, and then you got, you know, OTAs, and then you got some more stuff, rookie mini camp, and all those different things in between. But, you know, as of right now, it's like, man, look, if you can get some news pertaining to the Saints, give you something to talk about. But my final thoughts are simple. We all love watching Cam Jordan play. All-time great Saint, 130 sacks to his name. First ballot Hall of Fame, in my opinion. But the New Orleans Saints are weighing out their options. Look, we don't know if the New Orleans Saints are going to sign him back or not. But we've seen the New Orleans Saints try to get younger. They're trying to get their cap situation under control. And they're trying to focus on the future of the team. And with that comes tough decisions and might involve players that a lot of you love. But if the Saints win, if they can continue to get on track and get back to going to the playoffs, get back to winning the division, getting back to flirting with a Super Bowl berth, then I just think that it will make the whole process and the hurt feel a little bit better because you understand why they decided to do that, right? Like nobody wants to see Cam Jordan with another team's uniform on. But when the Saints are trying to get younger and they're trying to get themselves back into a good place, sometimes these decisions aren't the ones that we want to see the team make, but got to do what you got to do. But hopefully they can work it out and Cam Jordan can come back to the Saints. But if not, I'm still going to root for Cam and support Cam, you know, for wherever he goes, because, I mean, he is a legendary player. You know, I have nothing but respect for him. I mean, there's so many different players that we see around the National Football League, and, you know, I have nothing but respect for guys like Calais Campbell has been doing it for a long time, and so many others, man. So, you know, Cam Jordan definitely has earned the respect of not only Saints fans, but the National Football League. So somebody going to give him a lot of love, man, whether it's the Saints or somewhere else. But thank you all so much for checking out this edition of the State of the Saints podcast. Once again, my name is TJ Jones. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I ask that you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Previous episodes are available right here on YouTube. And you can also check out my daily Saints talk on Bleacher Report. Download the Bleacher Report app, select New Orleans Saints, and you'll be able to check out those videos. And also on Yahoo Sports, you'll be able to check out episodes of the State of the Saints podcast, the clips from each episode. So make sure that you check it out on Yahoo Sports. And if you want to follow me and interact with me, you can follow me on X at TJAY Jones8. Till next time, all I got to say is,
TJ Jones, we here. State of the Saints podcast, top notch, everything's top class. Know the play before they snap it.